Just a disclaimer that this 10-part video series does contain some flashing lights and sudden loud noises, and it touches on mental health, depression, social media addiction, and other deep topics of discussion. And since it's not been re-edited, save for these PNGs added onto the front of each chapter, references to dates and times may not be relevant since it was originally made last year. But with that said, please enjoy the story of my decade-long journey as a fursuit dancer.
I have not seen a performance as strong since fraternity.
This is going to be a little bit of a confusing story to discuss because Play, Pause, Rewind is kind of a multi-part story. We have the development process, and then we have Megaplex in the way, kind of like right in the middle of it. So of course we've been going over all this stuff about burnout and getting depressed and not feeling it, but ultimately I still was in it at the conventions. I was still 100% engaged. I was still excited. Backstage, I would be like, yeah, this is why I do this, man. Just being around these people, being back here, having this kind of opportunity. That's why I do this, right? Absolutely. And it was still that way, just that same magic. Every con I was still going to. Just being able to, talk in prelims with a few people who I looked up to, and it was always great to have those kinds of experiences at the convention, so I still had that magic. At that moment, I still had that magic, still wanted to do this. Even though I was putting in a little less effort, and maybe sometimes forcing a little too much effort here and there with some choreographies, choreographing things from start to finish, even though it's like, oh, do I really have to do this right now? Yes, I did. In my head, I did. With Play, Pause, Rewind, the story starts after BLFC 2017. When I left the convention, it was a 4-hour flight. The entire flight home, I was having this daydream about what I wanted to do when I get back. And you leave the convention with these grandiose plans that you're going to try and do. I'd always been the type of person when I really want something, I commit to getting it. And I know that that's going to take work. That's the thing I tell a lot of new dancers. If you want it bad enough, it's going to take a lot of work. That's why it's so gratifying to get it. Legitimate drilling was starting to vanish from my practice, though. It was all about putting out freestyles and practicing to new songs and polishing up old songs and choreography practice. Drilling and foundations practice were kind of a thing of the past to me at this point. No, that's not a good thing. That's a really bad thing. That means something's not right. And it was getting harder and harder to finish these choreographies. I started this little brainstorm in my head because I was obsessed with the song Shelter by Porter Robinson. And I have been thinking about this little choreography in my head for some time. And I had this little stupid fantasy because I watched people like JD bring random people that had never really danced on a stage before, never danced before, and brought them right out into the stage with his little group choreographies. I watched people like Atsu Fox craft projects like Fraternity, and I watched people like Doryu and Diggy and Apollo and TK craft For Real. I was watching other choreographies at conventions with groups of 2 and 3 come to fruition, some more successful than others. Learning the mistakes that I had learned with Fur World Order, felt like maybe now's the time to try this. Because I've been putzing around with this choreography idea for quite some time. I even talked to my roommate about it. What if he did like what ended up becoming the Sun before the final drop? Went to the gym and filmed a video. Because I was serious about this. I filmed an instructional video for the people that would join me. I wanted to go to FWA and bring something really, truly special. The first video was shot sometime in June. It was a concept explanation video for what would become Play, Pause, Rewind. After that, a few basic concept explanations and instructionals for some ideas I had, developed the choreography for Shelter very early, June or July even, and then we moved on to Megaplex 2017. I'll go ahead and throw a Cliff Notes version of this in because I do have a full video on the blooper reel where I explain a lot of the process for this one, and likewise I'm gonna have to abridge Play, Pause, Rewind as well, but for this one, I'm gonna explain a little bit more from perspective, approach, and emotional state rather than the process. If you want to know the process, click over here at this video. Matter of fact, I have a whole playlist on this for a lot of my group choreographies. So feel free to watch that if you're interested. If not, we'll go ahead and continue with the other details of this. There was one point when practicing, because this song came to me the weirdest way. This was probably the most random way I obtained a second song, because I had our outro song, Drugs by Eden, already chosen. So I'm just looking around for a first song because I had ideas, and then I was like, these ain't gonna work. I click a song on Related for just this kind of music, and I find Steven, who my friend Zug Zug was very into Steven, and I click Remembering Myself, and I listen to the lyrics, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for a part 2, basically, to the depression piece I did at BLFC, because I'm basically writing a choreography about depression, but opening up to a friend about depression. So Tahoe is such a fun dance partner and a great friend of mine. He's a riot to hang with. He will make you laugh.
Lol.
Whoa.
Hi!
In the morning. In the morning.
Oh, it's filming.
That is not how you floss.
Avocado! Yeah! Oh, big baby.
Do it.
Look at all those chickens. Well, that is definitely not guacamole, but you know what, kids? There's a way to make this better. You just get some of your note classicity.
We put together this choreography, and it was really, really good. Once again, we found out Dox was entering in a group. So I'm like, hell yeah, Dox is competing again. I get to see a fucking killer performance. I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, the competitive part inside my head that really wants that validation of getting that win, shit, we're just gonna get second again. I had the choreography. I didn't have Dox's skill yet. He was so much better than me in that regard. But again, this is my perspective of somebody who was competing. And of course, I said full disclosure on this. I'm not holding anything back. I'm not gonna lie about what I really wanted here, because I'm coming to you from a point of honesty so that nobody else makes my mistakes. Because if I had known what I know now 10 years ago, I would be a way better dancer than I am now. The whole thing about depression, because my 2016 was really rough. I mentioned that. 2017, I was trying. I really was trying. I was putting together a really nice choreography, and we showed our friends at the con, and they adored it. We were definitely looking at an emotional peak with this, trying to go for the emotions, where Dox is going to go for the precision with Prism. And it was a very, very well-synced choreography, but wasn't good enough to win.
You don't know how to let go. Who said this must be all or nothing?
We got second place, but we were so proud of it, because it was, and to date, I still consider it one of my best choreographies. Certainly, I'm proud of Tahoe Wolf for being able to come and pull through for that choreography, which I developed on my own start to finish.
Silent fight!
First time I believe did that, a start to finish group that I choreographed the whole thing. So let's talk about Floor Wars the next day. At BLFC, I had spoken with a friend named Optic. He and I were, talking, and he actually invited me to wear one of his fursuits to be his twin, because he has two suits, one by Lacey, one by DHC. He asked me to wear his Lacey suit, which I gladly accepted, and I wore it around the convention. It was one of the best suiting experiences I ever had, because, coming from a person who hasn't had means to be able to purchase a commissioned fursuit for several grand, or has had other priorities, it was such a treat to be able to actually walk around in a fursuit. I, one, felt comfortable in my own skin within. Two, it moved so well. Let me tell you, night and day from the homemade. This thing had performance and movement and flexibility in mind. So we jokingly made an agreement that I was just gonna screw around in Floor Wars at Megaplex and with Optic. So I entered Floor Wars as Optic. It was a silent suit. I couldn't talk. Nobody knew it was me. wouldn't you know it, in a suit that I'd never worn, the first time I ever suited in Floor Wars, I ended up winning. Though the call was close, I still think Darky had the better technique than I did and preserved his energy better than I did. I honestly do call that he probably should have taken the win, but it still meant the world to me to be able to get something where I was the best.
That's your decision in 3, 2, and 1.
And it was getting to that point where, I really wanted it. I really was I was telling people, like close friends of mine, dude, I've been doing this for a long time and I really want to win one of these. I was being honest with myself, I really did. Since the beginning, I did. I mean, there's nothing wrong with chasing it and wanting that validation, but it's when it controls you and starts becoming the goal rather than the journey that it can become a problem.
In 2017 and 2018, I got the opportunity to attend World of Dance Orlando, which was basically the local version, like a convention of sorts for dance. It's a lot more raw, it's a lot more real, it's a lot more down to earth. The competitors there and the dancing there is top notch. Nowadays, you have a lot more of that accessible within the furry fandom, but let me just stress that this is the real rawness of what dance really is outside of the fandom. This was very cutthroat. It was an absolutely phenomenal experience. I ended up competing in the Headbangers Brawl both years. The second year, I apparently got 27th. Top 16 got callbacks, but I ended up 27th, which is not bad. It is really not bad, especially considering, the context of what we're competing against here.
After Megaplex, I set out to finish what I started. Up until about November, it was pretty casual. Some videos here, some practices here, but it was more about just picking my people.
I had a person drop from my crew. Would you like to be in my crew? We're gonna debut in FWA.
Wait. Are you joking right now? Like, seriously? Are you... I don't know what to say.
Laying out a plan and talking about how I want things to work, laying out dates, deadlines, all this stuff. Just making it, and I even made a group chat for it, which still exists to this day, by the way. It was the most work I ever put into anything in my life, at least at that time. December rolls around and this is when I start feeling it. Like, this is the most passionate I've been about any performance I'd ever put out. I couldn't wait to get to that stage. It was December. We had 4 more months. I was counting down the days. I was trying to get through the nights at work because I worked third shift. Getting off in the morning, going to the gym, using their open group studio room when there were no classes in there, dancing in there, leaving, going home, going to bed. At this point in my life, I also was going home, drinking, going to bed a lot, but that's part of the depression talking. So we had a couple of snags in lineup with different people. At one point, we had some people that couldn't go, and then we had a couple of people who told me honestly they couldn't put in the effort that I was wanting put in, and they dropped, which I appreciate the transparency with it. As time grew shorter, and I was having a rough mental state at the time because I had a really rough move, and then I had some actual psychological issues come up, which are still being addressed to this day. The choreography started coming together. Me and 12 started meeting up for practices, and we arranged to go up to Atlanta for a couple days to do it together. And it was leaving Atlanta that I realized that this was going to happen.
So, you know how I can get kind of emotional sometimes, and sometimes my emotions delay a little bit. And you know how excited I get for some of these things, but holy Play Pause Rewind is going to happen. Holy shit, I can't believe it.
I got a very, very crappy video late at night on the final night we were there with 3 of us doing it, but Monty's legs were killing him, so he had to sideline himself. We get to the convention, Owen showed up knowing the moves.
And now do I walk all the way to the front?
Our 5th person showing up already knowing the moves, just needing help with blocking. 2 hours, 3 hours of practice later, he had it. The audition, fucking amazing. I cried at the end. because I'd been envisioning that audition, getting the judges involved and screaming for so long. Got to actually do it. I mentioned that the most validating experience I ever had was at MFF 2014 making the finals. I'm gonna have to put a toss-up actually. Single most validating moment, with the exception of MFF 2014, was dress rehearsal for FWA 2018. Because a lot of the dancer furs had not seen our choreography yet. People I looked up to, people I wanted to impress, and what we had was magic. What we had lit the room on fire to such a degree that even the staff that were closing up the ballroom for cleaning gave us a standing ovation. We were surrounded before we could take the bow by a bunch of dancers, hyped and some emotional as f***. I was speechless at that point. I knew what we had was something truly game-changing. Let me tell you, it's when you put 10 months of work into something, that's the goal, to get that kind of result. It's when you want it that bad. And unfortunately, what I wanted was a moment like that. What I wanted was to feel like that, what I felt in that moment. So after the dress rehearsal, I went back up to the room to, 'cause I think I had partial suit on at that point or something. I went up to the room for a little bit while my crewmates went to the dealer's den. A staff member tracked down the 3 crew members that went to the dealer's den. I believe it was Quick Strike, 12, and Owen, while Bimani and I went up to the room. The staff member asked them who choreographed that. So they explained it and they said, wow, because that was amazing. We're gonna come back tonight because we want to cheer you guys on. I was told that. I wasn't there for it, but I was told that, and it was just like, holy shit. Another really amazing thing was, and this was a far cry from FWA 2015, like I said, I caught, without even initiating it myself, Owen and 12 practicing by themselves without my instruction or anything. This group was self-managing. I picked the 5 right people. The result was, we won.
First place went to Play, Paws, and Rewind.
Needless to say, we won. A lot of people have referred to it as one of the more memorable performances in Fursuit comp history, and the praise is high, and it's something I really appreciate, but let me just make it very clear that Play, Paws, Rewind was both the best and worst thing that ever happened to me. After the hype died down, I had to face those feelings that I was feeling before, you know? Those didn't go away. Now they were worse.